I'm Kelsey Roberts, and I'm making these videos because I believe America will be in better financial shape when more American households are in better financial shape. I believe a lot of people who aren't good or aren't in good financial shape just don't know how to thrive financially. I believe they deserve it, and I believe this information should be free and easily accessible. So I've been promising and hinting at over a few videos how to give yourself a raise. And in the last video I said how the IRS wants to give you a raise. I'm going to show you how to do that. If you go into your MyPay, I'm not going to show a screenshot of MyPay because it's kind of proprietary. The DoD owns it and they kind of don't want it out like this. So if you go to MyPay, and it's up on the right hand side, top right, you click on the main page. When you go down to the taxes section where it says federal withholding and click on that, you can go in and set how many exemptions you want to claim in your taxes, and that's going to affect how much tax, federal tax, actually comes out of your paycheck. But down at the bottom there is a link that says IRS withholding calculator. Okay, and I just actually did a Google search for the IRS withholding calculator. You can get to it this way. I just want you to know that it's in your MyPay. So DFAS wants you to use this. The IRS wants you to use this as a tool that's provided to you. I just did a Google search, IRS withholding calculator. It's the first link that pops up that's not an advertisement, and here it is, the page. Sorry about the noise, I had an itch. So the IRS withholding calculator, and I mentioned briefly a W-4 earlier. We really don't have W-4s anymore. It's all electronic, and it's on that page in MyPay that I talked about where you set your exemptions. People are under the impression that exemptions are a fixed amount. If you're single, then the exemption is going to be 1. If you're married with 3 kids, then the exemption is going to be 1 for each member of your family, so your exemption is going to be 5. I'm going to show you why that's not necessarily true. That's kind of the way that it's designed, but it's not the way that it's meant to be used. So we've got a little introduction page. We're going to click continue to the withholding calculator, and because I don't have, I invented this guy Snuffy. All we have is his base pay. We don't have, how much his federal taxes are and all that stuff. LES information. I actually just went online to Wikipedia just because this is simply an example, and I found an LES. It's an example of an LES. Some of the information is redacted. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. Whatever. And this may be a little blurry for you, but if you do this with the withholding calculator and you have your LES in front of you, the information will be clear. I'm just going to kind of show you where to pick the information out and how to put it in. So I kind of invented this guy to do this and show you. So general information: what filing status will you use on your 2013 income tax return? And looking at his LES, is with dependent type of spouse, so he's married. So let's just assume married joint. Click that. Can someone else claim you as a dependent? Do you live at home with mom and dad? No. Continue. And that's just going to basically set up the framework for this. General information: select the total number of jobs which you and your spouse are currently or will be employed. So let's say this is a single income family. He's working, she's not. 1 job total. Check the box if you or your spouse held a job this year but are no longer employed. Contribute to a tax deferred retirement plan, and TSP actually counts in this, so let's look and see. Did he contribute to the TSP? Here's his LES. TSP information is right here. And this is an older LES. They look a little bit different now because Roth, they actually introduced the Roth in 2012. So that information is on here too. But yeah, he did contribute to a TSP. He contributed $720.14. So yeah, tax deferred retirement plan. And it's to note too, Roth is not tax deferred. Only the traditional TSP counts in this line. That's why I'm making these videos, because there's people that just don't know this stuff. Check the box if you or your spouse contributed to the cafeteria or other pre-tax plan this year. Not necessarily. I don't even know what that is. Check the box if you or your spouse received a scholarship, fellowship, or grants. I don't. Just assume he didn't. select the number of dependents other than yourself and your spouse you will claim on your tax return. So not one for you, not one for your spouse. Does he have any kids? Let's look. Under federal taxes, exemptions, we're going to say 2. So we're going to assume, because he's claiming 2 exemptions now, that he has 2 kids. This is not necessarily true. You're going to see that soon by the end of this calculator, but we're just going to say, yeah, he's got 2 exemptions, so 2 dependents, a wife and a kid. Other than yourself and your spouse, he's going to claim 1. Check if you're going to be 65 or older, you're blind, your spouse is blind, your spouse will be 65 or older. Child independent care credit, the number of qualifying persons for this credit, how many kids do you have that qualify for the dependent care credit. And because for this example we're keeping it simple, we're assuming he's working, his wife is a homemaker, so she's staying at home with the kids. There's no dependent care. Okay, so we're not going to put this in here. If this applies, go ahead and plug it in. Enter the estimate work-related and child-dependent care expenses. Again, remember I showed you this is how you calculate your annual pay. You can use the same formulas the same way to figure out, okay, this is how much I spend on child care every month. This is how much I'm going to spend for the year. Boom. And you can do it in less than a minute. Child tax credit. How many eligible children do you have for tax credit? If it's your kid and they live with you for more than half of the year, then they are eligible. One child. Other credits. Total value of tax credits other than the credit for child independent. We're not going to mess with this. Okay. You can look it up. You can click here and open up a new window. And hey, these are what the credits are. Elderly or disabled, education, adoption, foreign tax. We're not going to mess with any of that stuff. We're going to keep it simple. So continue. Income and withholding. Wage, income, and withholding. So we're going to start typing in numbers. And notice that all these are zeros. And some of you may have been asking earlier and some of the other ones, why did I not calculate the cents? Because the IRS doesn't calculate the cents. We just take that, it's negligible, right? We just want dollars. So enter the gross wages, salary, and tips. Gross wages. And I showed you this before. I looked at his LES. I don't know this guy. It's just an example, but he makes $24.27 or $22.47.30. $22.47.30 a month. I'm just going to assume he's making it, and I showed you how to figure out your own in the very first video. $26,967.60. I'm just going to say $26,967. $26,967. Any bonuses? We're going to keep it simple. If you expect to receive a bonus, then I'll show you how to calculate your bonus. We'll do that in a later video, probably a much later video, but we'll get there. How to calculate your bonus. Right now, the way things are, not a lot of people are getting bonuses, so we're just going to assume you don't. Total contributions, 2013 total to a tax-deferred retirement plan. And this is figuring out for the current tax year. We're still in current tax year 2013. For me, right now, recording this is December 26th, so this isn't going to do people much good. But what you want to do is, about January 31st, when you get that first full LES that is a 2014, or you get that first of whatever year it is upcoming, you're going to sit down and do this, because then you have numbers to put in. Alright, this is how much I expect to make for the year, any bonuses, contribution to a tax-deferred retirement plan, which is traditional TSP, tax-deferred. TSP, year-to-date, 7/20/14. $7/20/14. Total federal income tax withheld to date, and that comes off the LES. Total federal tax is going to be federal tax up here on the top right on the bottom section. This is your wage period, wages year to date, tax year to date 493.01. So you're going to use the 493. Federal income tax withheld from your last salary payment. Alright, it's going to be how much came off your last paycheck. That's why I say wait until the end of January so you can get these numbers. 8846 federal taxes, 8846. So 88. Select how frequently you're paid. In the military, we're paid twice a month, not every 2 weeks, twice a month. The date closest to when you first held this job in 2013, and assuming that you were employed the entire year, or you were employed last year, and you're going to be employed next year, the date closest to when this job will end is January 1st through December 31st. Other taxable earned income, that's why it's easy to be in the military, because you're not going to see a lot of this, if any. Unemployment compensation, nope. An estimate of any other non-wage income, dividends, interest, alimony received. Now if you're investing in stuff, you want to find out what your dividends are. An estimate you expect to receive in 2013. For most of us, it's negligible, so really nothing. And adjustments. And an estimate of your 2013 adjustments to income, alimony paid, deductible IRA contributions, and education loan interest. Deductible IRA contributions is actually traditional TSP contributions. So again, he's contributing, and I'll show you how to do this, 5% of his base pay. Alright, that's your traditional TSP. It's deductible, so his base pay, and we figured it up right here, 5% of his base pay. So if we want to know what 5% of his base pay for the year is going to be, then that equals his base pay times 5%. We're going to go all the way down here, and then we're going to copy this formula to here, so it adds up all of this. So estimating, it's paying that much a month every month, $1348.40. Where'd it go? $1348. No pennies. So the next page, if your standard deduction, remember the very first it said, hey, I'm going to file married joint. They say your standard deduction is $12,200. More than your total itemized deduction, your standard deduction will be used to calculate your withholding. Otherwise, your itemized deductions will be used. If you want to itemize to calculate your withholding, even if they amount to less, like I said, you can choose to. Don't know why you would, but you can check this box. And here's an estimate. Itemized deductions. Medical and dental. Taxes you paid, interest you paid, gifts to charity, casualty and theft, blah blah blah. We're just going to keep it simple and assume the standard deduction. Okay, based on, and here's the totals, based on the information you previously entered, your anticipated income tax for 2013, the amount of tax that you owe, and look at this, is interesting. This guy is not going to owe any taxes in this year. Your projected withholding is $493. They project that withholding based on this is how much is coming out of his paycheck every month. 88.43 times 12 months, and let's do it. Okay, it's 88.43. 88.43. I'm going to make that go over 12 months, right? 88.43. And then I'm going to copy the formula that's going to add everything together. 1061. Is that right? Projected withholding is 493. I don't know what the discrepancy between those two numbers is. Anyway, it's going to tell you, because you're putting in real numbers, I'm making up numbers, and honestly, I don't know what's real and fake here when I'm putting it in. This is just an example. Overpayment is $493. Since it's December, any changes to your withholding that you request may not go into effect until next year. Okay, following is a recap of information entered on the preceding pages on which the above advice is based. So basically this is telling you your anticipated income tax for now imagine if you're putting this number in January or maybe February, and it tells you your anticipated income tax for 2014 is $0. We go back over here to the LES, he's paying $88.46, which is kind of low. What if you're paying $150? What if you're paying $200 or $300, and because of your exemptions and your deductions, how many dependents you have, your anticipated income tax is $0. Right? It's going to tell you down here what to do, how to change this number on your income tax. I'll tell you right now, if we were looking at my LES, this line isn't even here because I have dependents and I have adjustments and deductions. I don't pay any. This number is 0. Right? That's how I gave myself almost a $200 a month raise because I was there. I was at 180 something bucks. Right? And I went in, and the way it's going to tell you to do, it'll tell you exactly what to do, because the IRS, the reason for this is it costs money to process your return. If you pay too much in income tax, it costs the IRS time to process the returns, and it costs them money to pay the people that have to do the work. They don't want you, contrary to popular belief, they don't want you to pay more than you owe. Okay? And let's just put it plainly. If I was to walk up to you and say, hey, I got $180 a month that I'm going to give you. Here you go. $180 a month for 12 months out of the year. And I'm just going to keep giving you this money. And then a year from now, I'm going to come back and I'm going to do a whole lot of paperwork to get it back from you with no interest. Okay? You can do whatever you want with it. You can spend it, buy things that you want. You can invest it and make money off of my money. But when I come back and get it from you, I don't want any interest. You don't owe me anything for using it. Alright, this is essentially what you're doing. If you complete this calculator and you're paying too much in income taxes just to get that refund at the end of the year, okay, what you need to do is discipline yourself. Instead of putting the money in the IRS, basically you have a good principle, okay? You're defaulting to save. Alright, that's not a bad thing, but there's better ways to do it. There's ways to do it that can make you more money than just getting your money back in a lump sum at the end of the year. And then when you get that paycheck, what people consider to be the tax refund paycheck, you're probably going to go and spend it. We're going to try to show you a way to default to save. So instead of spending that money, blowing that money is what a lot of people do, you're going to save it. So if you're anticipating, the way that it's going to tell you, and this is just kind of an example of why exemptions and deductions are just ambiguous numbers to help them fudge the numbers, okay? This guy may have a wife and a kid, and even though his anticipated income tax for 2013 is going to be 0, he might be paying 120, 130, 80, whatever a month. The way that they're going to adjust how much they take out, this is going to tell him to increase his exemptions, to go onto that page in your federal withholding in your MyPay and increase your exemptions. And I'm not kidding. I have a wife and a kid. There's 3 of us in my household. It told me to increase my exemptions to 7 in order to get my taxes that I paid, in order to get this number, where's it at? This number down to 0. Okay? And I think, you know, I'm staying on this for a while because I want you to understand how seriously awesome this is. Okay, this is really, really awesome because there's so many things in this, and we put in so much different information that you can use to manipulate the numbers. And if you started out doing this, basically figuring out how much you're going to be, and this is what all of these, gross income, AGI, is based on. There's ways that throughout the year, if you can project how much you're going to make, you can figure out a plan to strategically adjust this number. You can actually, instead of trying to figure out how much your tax refund is going to be, you can sit down and figure out how much you want your tax refund to be. Alright? That's what I'm trying to teach you here, how to sit down and figure and master your finances. And this is how you're going to thrive financially, to sit down and actually decide, well, this is how much I want my tax refund to be. This is how much I want to be able to expect next year. And then, just because this number is 0 doesn't mean that your tax refund is going to be 0. See here, his tax liability is $34.40. He's single. He's got a kid. There is a way to make this number 0. I'm not kidding. This number, federal taxes, 0, and for this number, the tax liability to actually be negative which means to get a tax refund. Okay, I'm talking about thousands of dollars here. You not only give yourself a raise and pay $0 in federal taxes, but still wind up with a tax refund at the end of the year. It's not gaming the system. It's not cheating. Okay, it's rich people. We talk about rich people and we kind of sneer at them with a little bit of contempt that, you know, rich people manipulate taxes and they're not paying taxes or whatever. I'm going to submit that maybe rich people are using tax loopholes, or maybe not using tax loopholes because they're rich, but maybe that kind of person becomes rich, becomes wealthy, thrives financially because they understand, before they become rich, they understand how to use those loopholes and they understand how to properly manage their money. All right, this is one of the reasons that you see lottery winners almost always wind up bankrupt, because people in general who play the lottery, and this, I'm not making a moral judgment or value judgment here, but people in general who play the lottery, all right, are not rich. Rich people don't usually play the lottery. And you see people who play the lottery don't know how to manage their finances and don't know how to thrive financially with a little bit of money, and then you give them a whole lot of money and they still don't know how to manage their finances. They don't know how to thrive financially. And it doesn't matter, you know, if you have $20,000 or $20 million. If you don't know how to manage your finances, you're going to wind up broke. So this is what we're talking about, is learning how to manage your finances and take control of them. We're going to talk about really cool stuff. I think in the next video I'd like to talk about the TSP and how you, the double whammy of the TSP, and how you can use your TSP to manipulate this money. And actually, we talked about how the IRS can give you a raise. Now I'd like to talk about how to use the TSP to get the IRS to contribute to your retirement fund. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.